I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
Athletic enough to get to any ball. And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
So he reached double digits. The big question has been answered.
It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
The steal of the draft is Will Taylor to the Texas Rangers in the 19th round after he signs with them.
We'll see what happens during his career. It's important to keep his Scotty around Chris Middleton. It's important to keep his Dennis Rodman, which I believe is like Drew Holiday, another important defender, a guy who's a team builder. And maybe that's PJ Tucker. I don't know who's the Dennis Rodman of the team.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like, good job, Manfred. You won't get many of those for the rest of the year.
And you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. There's no way. There's no way.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people. Not 2006. You already took your math shot.
Well, it's also like you think, oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. Just because you bought the best vacuum doesn't mean the floor is going to be not dirty.
And then you have the Diamondbacks. And then Giants, I have them above the Rockies because I don't have any idea what the Rockies are doing.
Sam Bennett's someone I really expected to be a better player.
There will be a Rodgers playing for Green Bay, even though he may not be the quarterback. But it's still unknown there. Austin is giving me the dead stare, so I guess don't mention Aaron Rodgers to him right now.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler.
Corey Perry will give some veteran presence to the Canadians and to just help give some insights on what he did last year.
I agree 100%, and the reason why I agree is because this is a terrible trade for the long term.
What would you have said if I bet you $100 at the end of the round robin and start of the playoffs that the Stars would be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, or Stanley Cup finals?
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. We are going to do our draft grades. Austin and I have different draft grades, so we're going to try to not make it a super long episode because we're going through the AFC and NFC. But let's start with the AFC East. I'll go with Patriots. I gave them a B-. I felt they reached for some players, like with their number one overall pick. They got Cole Strange, reached there, but they got a lot of cornerbacks. They also got a QB, which was Zappe. Interesting. So I just gave him a B- because it didn't really surprise me. And like B, in my opinion, is like average, and then less than average is B- for me. So not terrible, but that's how I viewed the Patriots draft. What about you?
I normally put C as an average, and so I have them as a C. It is a lot of question marks. I don't really know where they're going in some of these, but again, a lot of these picks could work out. They drafted positions of need, and while many people are confused by the Bailey Zappi pickup, I like it. He broke the record for yards and touchdowns at the in college football, whatever the top division is called. What? Is it
D1?
FBS?
FBS, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I like the pickup of him because you could trade him later. I think he'll become the next Jimmy Garoppolo. If Mac Jones doesn't turn out, he could be the next starting quarterback for them. I like picking up Pierre Strong, the running back, at 127. I think he could be a good one, even though they already have some good running backs. But yeah, I'm going to have it as a C because Cole Strange and Bailey Zappi, we don't know how they're going to turn out. So we have to, I'm going to be on the side of caution and have it as a solid C.
Okay. Now we go to the Bills. I gave the Bills an A because I really love their first two picks. You get Kyrie Elam, great corner to pair with Tre'Davious White. Then James Cook. I like the addition of James Cook. Then they also got some middle linebackers. But I felt they got two really strong players with their first two picks, so I give them an A for that. Not an A+, because none of the other picks really stood out to me, good or bad. So I think just getting two incredible players earns them an A in my book.
I gave them a B plus. I like the pickup of Kar Elam and some of the other moves they made. I'm not that high on guys like they took in the third round. I believe they took Terrell Bernard at 89. I don't really like that pick. I feel like with some of their picks they were a little bit too high on guys that I wasn't, but they drafted positions of need, so I'm not going to knock them on that. Their later round selections were a little questionable to me as well, but I do like what they're doing. They're moving in the right direction, so I think a B plus was a good rating.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now we'll go to the Dolphins. What is your grade on them?
My Dolphins grade is a D plus. I did not like many of the moves they made. Because of they didn't pick till the third round, it kind of lessened their ability to have a necessarily good draft. And even then, I did not think that their draft in the later rounds was all that good. I do give them credit for picking up Channing Tindall, though. I really like him. They picked him up at pick 102. But besides that, I don't think they really added to their team much with this draft.
Wow, I just gave them a B because like they really didn't add that much, but given what they did with the draft capital, I was like, okay, your first pick is third. Didn't really wow me, so I just gave them like a average. Like it was a B. Given what you had, it was all right, but nothing.
I was
Really
just trying to look at the players they got in the draft and then go from there. And they drafted some positions of need, but I don't think that Channing Tindall, they already have good linebackers. I don't necessarily know if he's going to play. I think they drafted a quarterback too, so I'm not that high on the draft. But again, they didn't pick until the third round, so it's not like they had all that big of an opportunity to greatly improve their team.
Yeah. Now we get to the Jets. I gave the Jets an A plus because it was great. I love what they did with their first three picks. They did Brees Hall was interesting, given that they traded up to get him, but great running back. They also got Jeremy Ruckert, nice tight end. Already adds to a loaded tight end room, but just the drafting Ahmad Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, then Brees Hall. Those are their first four picks. And then you have Jeremy Ruckert, Max Mitchell, a good tackle, and then Michael Clemens, DE. Really nothing else, but getting those five players is just incredible. And to me, that earns them an A plus, and they just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'd give them 100 on the test if this was a test, which is it's still an A plus, but they got a perfect score. I don't think they made any bad picks the entire draft. Really, they had some stretches, like I think they stretched on Max Mitchell, or I should say reached. But their four picks: Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. Wow, I'm this team could contest for a playoff spot this next season if any teams in the AFC falter. I know the AFC is really tough this year, but with their defense improving and a lot of teams could take them lightly, they could get some wins, and 7 teams make the playoffs now, so on each side. So I could see them contending.
Yeah, now we'll move on to the Steelers draft, and I'm making a quick change. I'm giving them a C plus. I have them at a B minus. I really like the George Pickens pick, but then they draft another wide receiver in Calvin Austin from Memphis. Um, and I really don't like the Kenny Pickett pick. I think there were better QBs available when they drafted them. So not really high on this draft outside of the George Pickens pick. I think that's a great wide receiver to add. What do you think?
I give them a B because I do think, while I don't agree with the Kenny Pickens pick or the Kenny Pickett pick, uh, they're gonna have Pickett throwing to Pickens. That's gonna be a rough say, but really do like their wide receiver pickups, like Pickens, like Calvin Austin. I do think that the team improved, and while I don't necessarily like the Pickett pickup, I do think they needed a QB, and if they really felt like the Pittsburgh guy went to Pittsburgh from Pittsburgh pickup is the best guy, I don't really fault them on that. So yeah, I give them a B. I like the draft, and I don't hate the Pickett pick as much as you do.
Yeah, I was not high on Pickett. And like, given where the other quarterbacks landed, you don't have to go QB the first round. You can draft someone else. But now we'll go on to the Bengals. I gave them a B plus. I like a lot of their picks, like Daxton Hill, another safety, and then nice defensive tackle. Wish they would have gone more on O line to kind of address some of that. So it wasn't a huge need for them, and they did address it in the later rounds, but it was all right. And I like Daxton Hill. You compare him with Jesse Bates, so that's why they get a B plus, just a little bit better than average.
I gave them a C plus. I wasn't really high on most of their picks, and the only reason why I wasn't a C or a C minus was because of the draft of Daxton Hill. He was their only draft pick I really liked, and some of the guys they picked up on the O line, I'm not really that high on, like Cordell Volson at 136. Not that high on him. I do like Daxton Hill. I think he's going to be a great player for them, but they needed to address the offensive line a lot more than they did. So I'm not really all that high on this draft. So I give it a C plus.
Now we go to the Browns. I give them a B. Like, you had some nice pickups. You filled. You got corner, got defensive end, got some wide receivers, got a running back. But their first pick wasn't until the third round. They gave up a lot of draft capital, and nothing really surprised me. So that's why it's just an average grade for me.
Yeah, I gave them a C minus. I liked it better than the Dolphins pickup with them not taking until the third round because I really like Perry and Winfrey at 108, the defensive tackle. But again, when you're taking in the third round as your first pickup, it's going to be a lackluster draft.
Yeah, now we go to the Ravens. I gave the Ravens A plus. I loved what they did with their first few picks, Lindenbaum, and they also got I can't remember his name. I'm trying to. I had
Kyle
it
Hamilton.
list. Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, I love Kyle Hamilton. I don't know, and they also got David Ahobo in the second round. Really liked that addition for them because like he could develop. They also got a defensive tackle and then another tackle, and they just had tons and tons of pick. And they also got Tyler Beatty in the fourth round. I love Tyler Beatty. I think he's a great running back, and to snag him in the fourth round, I think will be really good for them, and they can just add it to the running back room. So that's why they get the A plus for me.
I gave them an A only because I only wanted to give one A plus, and that already went to the Jets. So I had them at an A. Everything you said is true. I really like what they did. I just thought the Jets draft was slightly better. And because draft day trades don't count, they would have been lower because I really don't like the Marquise Brown trade. But with the players that they did get with it, it's an A draft.
Yeah, I gave a couple A pluses, but if I had to rank them, Jets would probably be my number one A plus. But yeah, when we do off-season grades, the Marquise Brown trade will definitely affect their grade. Um, but now we can go on to the AFC South Texans. This is another team I gave an A plus to. Like their first few picks, as they got a nice cornerback in Derek Stingley. They also got a nice guard. Then they got a nice safety, and then they got John Mechie from Alabama, who I like, and I would say Alabama is wide receiver U. So I really like that pickup for them. So they really just got some nice quality players to add to a roster that needs quality players.
You were talking about the Texans, correct?
Yeah, Texans. Yeah,
Yeah. I had the Texans at what did you say what their rating was?
I
Sorry.
gave them an A plus.
Okay, I gave them an A minus. I didn't like their pickup of Tegan Quattorino, or Tiano, or Riano. I don't know how to say his last name. Uh, at 170 at tight end. Uh, but I really like their first round picks. They needed to address their line. They did. They needed to address quarterback. They did. And while some people aren't high on some of those guys, I really do think they addressed what they needed to. So I think an A minus was necessary. But I also didn't like some of their picks later on a little bit. But they're building around Davis Mills, which I do think is necessary, and they're helping on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, now we go to the Jaguars. I just gave them an A, given what they did with the number one overall pick. It was risky. Then they got Devin Lloyd. Then they got a center in the third round, but nothing really surprising. Like Trayvon Walker is a good player, but for you having the #1 overall pick, I'm not sure that's the best value for Trayvon Walker. But you also got some nice players like Devin Lloyd at the end of the first round.
Yeah, I give him a B plus. I really like Devin Lloyd, one of the best linebackers in the draft. But Trayvon Walker, I don't really know how to perceive it. And when you have the #1 pick and it's a reach, it's hard for me to give you an A. But again, I don't know how he's going to perform. All of these could be. I mean, the Dolphins draft could be the best draft ever, and all the picks, even though they started in the third round, could all be Hall of Famers. We have no idea. It's just based on our opinion, and I don't necessarily think the Trayvon Walker pick was all that great. I would have picked Aiden Hutchinson, or I would have gone with the right tackle, or I would have traded down, which I also thought was a viable option. But with the picks they did have, I thought a B plus was definitely where they should be.
Yeah, I can see that. Now we'll go to the Colts. I gave the Colts a B minus, just because like nothing really surprised me in this draft. Like, oh, that's a really good pick. Nothing like really terrible. It's just like, okay, you got a wide receiver, got a tight end, got a tackle, and Bernard Raymond in the third round from Central Michigan. Just fulfilling positions of need, but I'm not sure how all those players are going to turn out. So just game below average on that.
Yeah, I'm really high on Bernard Raymond, so I gave them a B. I like this pick. I like most of their draft. I just didn't like the pick of a Jelani Woods with the tight end. I know Jack Doyle retired, but I didn't think that was the best pick in this instance. But I do like how their draft turned out.
Now we go to the Tennessee Titans. Like the addition of Treylon Burks. Nice corner in McCreary. So I'm going to give him a B on this because, like, pretty average. You did make wide receiver a need with Treylon Burks, but you filled that. Then they also got Malik Willis. Not sure how that's going to turn out, but given the value, I think it was very good. But not sure about the other picks. It will be interesting to see how Malik Willis turns out because not many people were high on him as he fell to the third round. But I do think his upside is there, but just a B for me on the Titans.
I gave him an A minus. I'm pretty high on Malik Willis, and I think he could be really good in the future. And then obviously, like really like Treylon Burks and getting him on a rookie deal when he's basically just like AJ Brown. And now he has to prove it, but he's built like him. He showed in college he can perform very well against really good teams. He had 2 touchdowns, 200 something yards, or 178 yards on 8 receptions against Alabama. So I really like him, and Roger McCreary was a great pick. Nicholas Pettit Furrier, another nice pick. I like their draft, and so I give them an A minus.
All right, now we go to the AFC West. Chiefs, I give them an A. Like the addition of Trent McDuffie as corner. Corner's a big need for them, and they drafted 2 more corners in this draft like that. George Karlaftis, I was high on as edge rusher. That's another thing they need. And then they got a wide receiver, Sky Moore. They also got safety in Brian Cook from Cincinnati. Really like what they did, so that's why I give them an A because they filled some needs and got some really nice players.
I gave him a B. I like George Karlaftis, but he's not the best pick in the world, in my opinion. Their best pick in the draft, I do agree. Well, I don't know if you said it was Sky Moore, but I think it's Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore is a good wide receiver, and obviously filling in for Tyreek Hill will not be all that easy, but I do think he has the potential to be that good. But I still have question marks about George Karlaftis and some of their other picks, but they're quality picks, and we just have to see if they work out or not in the Kansas City Chiefs system.
Yeah, I would probably say Trent McDuffie is their best pick because they really needed corner. Even though they do need wide receiver and Sky Moore helps, I think defensively their secondary was a huge problem and they fill a spot with Trent McDuffie. But now we can go on to the Broncos, who I gave a B to. Given what they gave up to get Russell Wilson, they didn't have many picks, but they really didn't select any O linemen they didn't select any O linemen at all. And I think that's a problem. They selected a wide receiver, Montrell Washington. They got an outside linebacker, Nick Bonito from Oklahoma. Just, okay, you're getting – it seemed nothing I hate about these players. Just O-line to me is one of the big concerns, and they didn't address that at all, so I gave them a B.
I give them a B plus. With the limited picks they had, they definitely performed well. I really like Nick Bonito. I think Damari Mathis is. I've heard a lot of people talking bad about him, but I really think he could be good. The corner at 115. I think a lot of these guys could be starters in the future. And while again they didn't have all that many picks, I do think their draft was really good for a team that didn't have many picks.
Now we go to another team. The Raiders didn't have many picks. I like getting Zamir White, the running back from Georgia. They also drafted another running back in the 7th round. They also got offensive guard, which is good, and then 2 defensive tackles and another tackle. They filled some needs, but nothing really surprised me, so that's why I give them a B.
I also gave him a B. I really like to pick up with Dylan Parham, the offensive guard at 90. I thought this was a good draft, but again, it didn't have many of their picks. I do think I would prefer the Broncos draft over the Raiders draft, so that's why the Broncos is a B plus while the Raiders are a B. But I do think they did well with what they had.
Now we go to the Chargers, our final AFC team. I give them a B plus. Love the addition of Zion Johnson with their first pick. They got a safety, then they got Isaiah Spiller, running back. That's nice. But the big thing to me was Zion Johnson. So it's better than average. Not sure how all these other guys will turn out, but that's why I couldn't give them an A. There weren't more than a couple of players that I really loved with fits that they needed or that filled needs great. Like, that's a fantastic get at your position or a fantastic pick. So that's why I just gave him a B plus.
Yeah, I give him a C plus. I'm not really that high on guys like JT Woods, who they took, I believe, in the 3rd round, pick 79. I feel like there were better people on the board when they took Zion Johnson. Uh, and then I like Isaiah Spiller, even though probably say that Zion Johnson's their best pick. Um, I I'm not that high on the draft overall, but I do think that they picked up some positions of need, so we'll see how it turns out.
Now we'll go to the NFC East with the Cowboys. I gave them a C plus. They drafted based on need, and that's not a bad thing to do. But to me, they reached on their first 2 picks. Tyler Smith to me was a reach on offensive tackle, and then Sam Williams, while they did like him, I think was a reach. So to me, it just seemed like they were reaching on all their picks. They're like, oh, we need to fill this. So we're going to select this. And there are just better value picks that they could have gotten. And if they wanted to draft that guy, then maybe trade down and get more value and still get the guy you want. So that's why I'm not pleased with the Cowboys draft. So that's why they get a C plus.
I give them a C. The only player I really like that they took is Jalen Tolbert, or Tolbert, I think it's Tolbert. Uh, Besides that, I'm not really high on many of the guys they took. Yes, they did draft by need, but they took a lot of question marks. And just like the Patriots, where I had them as a C because I just don't know for most of them, that's the same way I am for the Cowboys.
Yeah, now we go to the Eagles, who I gave an A minus to. I like the addition of Jordan Davis. They also got really lifted up because of Nakobe Dean and snagging him in the later rounds. I was very high on Nakobe Dean, so snagging him is great. They also got a center, so maybe to help when Kelly retires. But the additions of Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean to a defense that really needs help, huge boost in my opinion. That's why I gave him an A minus.
I gave him an A. The pickup of Jordan Davis was huge. I think that was their best pick, even though Nakobe Dean was probably a steal at 83. I think Jordan Davis was by far their best pick because they're known for their defensive line. When they won the championship, that's what they were known for. And picking up another one that could be taught under the current guys they have is definitely a great thing. And then obviously they traded for AJ Brown during the draft, but obviously that doesn't count for their draft grade. But that is something to look forward to.
Yeah, I do agree. Now we'll go to the Giants, who I gave an A minus to. Same thing as the Eagles. I really like their first 2 picks. Keon Thibodeau, great defensive end, and then a great tackle with Evan Neal. Not sure how I feel about wide receiver Wendell Robinson. Because it seemed like there were other wide receivers there on the board for them to take that I thought were better. But to me, it's really lifted up because of the 2 great picks they did in the first round.
What'd you say you gave him?
A minus.
Okay, I give him a B plus. I really like those first 2 picks. I think Kayvon Thibodeau has the potential to be the best player in the draft, to be a Hall of Famer. I liked him a lot, but he just has a lot of downside. He's a very low floor, but he has the highest ceiling of anyone in the draft, in my opinion. And Evan Neal's a solid offensive lineman. So that's really what carries this draft. But after those two, I question what they were doing. So that's why it's only a B plus for me. But I do really like Kayvon and Evan.
Yeah, now we'll go to Washington. I give him a B minus. Like, very surprised they went wide receiver in the first round, even though Jahan Dotson was good, but getting him at 16. I had a lot of people getting him later. A lot of teams drafting him later in the first round. Then they did a running back, and then they drafted Sam Howell. To me, that's going to be a very crowded quarterback room. So really don't understand the pick there. So that's why it's just below average for me.
You said C plus?
B minus.
Oh, okay. I give him a B plus because I really do like Jahan Dotson. I do think he's going to be a star. Many people will be like, why? But that's because Terry McLaurin is one of the best wide receivers in the league. And I think Jahan Dotson not starting out as a one, starting out as a two or a three will really be beneficial. Obviously, they have a good tight end over there, too. Uh, so I think he's going to be a good wide receiver. The only question mark for me is Carson Wentz. I know this isn't part of the draft, but Jahan Dotson, I think his potential could be stunted if Carson Wentz struggles. So I think Jahan Dotson is a top 5 pick in the draft from a wide receiver standpoint. But I don't know how he performs just because of Carson Wentz. I think Jahan Dotson's good, so I like their draft, but I don't necessarily know how they're going to perform. And I like to pick up a Sam Howell just in case injuries happen like they have the past couple of years for them.
I think those are both valid uh, points. I do understand the concern about Carson Wentz, but I think we can go to the NFC North now. Packers, I gave them an A minus. Really like what they did. First 3 picks, they got 2 great defenders from Georgia, and then Christian Watson, a wide receiver, so that fulfills their need. Um, Nothing else really surprised me, but really good picks. So fulfill a need at wide receiver and also upgrade the defense, which I think is something you're going to need since your offense is not going to be as high powered as it was last season because you lost Devontae Adams.
Yeah, and Kristen Watson's one of the best athletic specimens I've seen. He is the only player to run under a 4.4 and be over 6.4 since 2000 or something like that. I've been thoroughly impressed by what the Packers have done, so I give them an A, just a little bit higher than you. Maybe I'm a little bit biased with that, but I do think their top 3 picks were elite.
I think those are good points, and I do agree we're not too far on it. So now we go to the Vikings, and I gave them a B plus because I liked the addition of Lewis Sign, Andrew Booth Jr. at corner, and then they also got a guard from LSU, Ed Ingram. But love the first 2 picks with upgrading that secondary, which needs help specifically at corner, and then getting Lewis Sign, who can you can pair with my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? The safety that can absolutely hit people. I keep forgetting his name.
What'd you say? Oh, the safety, Harrison Smith?
Yeah, Harrison Smith. I don't know why I forget it. That's the second time I've had to ask you on recording. But you get Lewis Sign and then Andrew Booth Jr., who I really liked at corner.
I like Andrew Booth, but I'm not really that high on most of the other guys. I'm not high on Lewis Sign. I don't think he should have been taken in the first round. I gave him a C minus. I really like Andrew Booth. Like I really think he could be a star corner. But besides that, I'm not that high on many of the other picks, so I give him a C minus.
I can understand that. Now we go to the Lions, who I gave an A plus to. Love the addition of Aiden Hutchinson. Get a nice wide receiver in Jameson Williams. Then get a defensive end in Josh Pascal. Nice safety. Just really nice players hitting on your first 2 picks in the first round, even though you had to trade up. Just really like that, so that's why I gave him an A plus.
This is another team I gave an A to. This is probably the 3rd best draft. I really like what they did. Jameson Williams is going to be a star. He's going to be a star. Jared Goff, I know, can get the ball to him. I like picking up Aiden Hutchinson. He is very high floor, so there's almost no risk that he's gonna be a starter in the league for at least 10 years, unless injuries happen, which I really hope they don't. But I think he'll be a great player. Now, will he have the ceiling that Kayvon Thibodeau does if Kayvon actualizes his potential? No, I don't think so. But there's no chance, in my opinion, that Aiden Hutchinson is a bust. So I really like this draft, and I think they improved their team greatly.
So we both agree on that. Now we go to the Bears, who I just gave a B to. Like, it's all right. You got a corner, you got a safety, got a wide receiver. Nothing really caught my eye, good or bad. So that's why it's just a B for me.
I give it a C plus. I really like Jaquan Brisker, uh, but I'm not really that high on many of the other guys. I like Kyler Gordon as well, so that's why it goes up to a C plus. But I'm questionable. I question like Velus Jones and some of these other guys. Velus Jones is 25, and he's a rookie that they took at the 71st pick. That's an interesting spot. I don't necessarily know if Justin Fields going to be able to get him the ball. I thought they should have taken another lineman, but uh, I have it as a C plus.
I can understand why you did that. Now we go to the NFC South Bucks. I give a B plus. Not sure if any of these guys come in day one. Maybe Logan Hall does. I like him at defensive end. They also got a tackle. Also got a running back from Arizona State, Rashad White. But nothing really too good or too terrible. But to me, I think they got some nice players, so that's why it's a B plus.
I give him an A minus, a little bit higher than you. I really like Rashad White, the running back at 91. They obviously lost Ronald Jones, and I do think could be a good running back in a good system. I like Cade Otton. I like some of these other tight ends they took. I like Logan Hall. I like most of their picks. The only reason why is just the talent level of these picks isn't as high as their team, so they fall to an A minus because these guys were taken later. But I really do like this draft.
Now we'll move on to the Saints, who I gave a B to. Like, you did get some great players in Chris Olave and Trevor Penning in the first round, but you had to give up a lot of picks to get those two players. So I gave him just a B. Like, you hit on those first two picks, but then you had a second round pick, and then you didn't have a pick till the fifth round. So in the draft and giving up those picks to draft those guys is where I docked them, and that's why they get a B.
I give him a B minus. I do like Chris Olave. I like Trevor Penning, but after the third round, or I just really think this draft fell away. I don't necessarily like most of the picks they did, but I do think it's better than some of these other drafts on here. And I think Chris Olave will be a great player, especially if somehow Drew Brees comes back. Because if I don't know if you saw that tweet, but he said he's going to come back to play football again. And if they have
Yeah, I
Jarvis
heard that.
Landry and Chris Olave and some of these, and Michael Thomas gets healthy, that's a good wide receiver core.
Yeah, I heard that. I saw that, and I wasn't sure if he was just like messing around, even though I know there are rumors. We'll have to see what happens. I do like Chris Olave, but it was just like the other picks that they gave up to get him is what caused me to give him a B. But now we'll go to the Panthers, who I give a B minus to. Really don't understand why they didn't draft a quarterback earlier when Ritter and Willis were still on the board. And then they trade up to get Matt Corral in the third. But I do like the addition of Ikem Okonu, the offensive tackle. Nothing really else shocked me. I just really docked them for the quarterback pick of Matt Corral.
I give him a C plus. I'm not that high on Matt Corral, just like you are. I like Ika Makongwu, but I just don't know how this team's going to turn out. I have a lot of question marks with their draft selections, how many they're going to keep, how many make the team. I have questions. I just have questions. So I'm going to leave it up to see how it turns out, but I think a C plus is necessary.
Yeah, I agree. We're not too far off on that. Now we go to the Falcons, who I gave just an A to because they had a pick of which wide receiver they wanted, and they chose Drake London. I'm not sure if I agree with that choice. Garrett Wilson was available, Chris Olave. So not really sure how I feel about that, but it's still a wide receiver and it fills a need. Also got a defensive end from Penn State, then an inside linebacker, and then I love the addition of Desmond Ritter, who I thought was the best QB in the class. I'm not sure if his ceiling is the best, but I think he'll produce well, or I think he'll play well. So getting him in the third round, I think, was great, and maybe he can take some time, or maybe he competes for a starting job. So it was just a good draft. They filled some needs, but I think they could have done better in some other areas. So that's why they just get an A.
Yeah, I have them as an A as well. I really like to pick up a Desmond Ritter. I've heard some people don't, but I really think that Desmond Ritter could be a starter in this league. And I think Drake London paired up with Kyle Pitts is a dream matchup. I definitely think that he could be a star right next to Kyle Pitts, and that would create nightmares once Calvin Ridley comes back from his suspension.
Yeah, like I don't totally. I think Drake London will be good, but will he be the best wide receiver? I'm not quite sure. So that's why you had your choice of wide receivers, and you chose Drake London. So that's kind of why I docked him on that. So we can move on now to the NFC West, our final division. Seahawks, I gave an A minus to, like getting Charles Cross, and they got an outside linebacker, but then they drafted a running back. Not quite sure why they did that. It was the Ken Walker from Michigan State. But I do love the draft to Kobe Bryant in the fourth round. I'm surprised he fell that far, but I thought that was a great pick. Just gave him an A minus because good picks, but the running back in the second round, to me, that's not your biggest need. So not sure why you're wasting a quality pick on that.
I give him an A because I really do like Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to be probably a top 3 running back in this draft. I think that he could perform nicely. He was very good for Michigan State, and I obviously love the pick of Charles Cross. I also like that they trusted Drew Lock, didn't take a QB. They want to give him a true chance, and they're going to. They feel like, okay, we're going to give him a chance, and I like when teams do that, when they ignore all the hate from fans and, oh, we should give up on this dude. No, give him a chance with your system, with your QB. I mean, with your coach, with your offensive line, with your offensive coordinator. Give him a chance, and that's what they're doing. So I give him an A.
Yeah, we'll see how that happens. Now we'll go to the Rams, who I just gave a B to. They didn't have their first pick till the third round. They got a guard, then corners, and then a running back in the fifth round, Kyron Williams from Notre Dame. So it was just an all right draft for me for the Rams, so that's why they get a B.
I give them a D plus. I didn't really like most of what they did. They obviously don't really value the draft all that much, as 99% of their team wasn't drafted by them. So I think they didn't really care about it all that much. I don't know if I really like any of their picks. So yeah, a D plus is what I give them.
Now we'll go to the Niners. I just gave a B minus. They had a second round pick. Not quite sure how I feel about it. They got Drake Jackson, the outside linebacker. Then they got a running back. Then a wide receiver from SMU. Just an all right draft, but I didn't like it as much as the Rams, so I gave them a B minus.
I liked it more than the Rams. I really do like Drake Jackson. The edge they took at 61, so I gave them a B. I think that this team really did improve with the addition of Drake Jackson. To pair him next to Nick Bosa, I think is a great move. And obviously, the D line keeps on getting better and better and better. And if injuries happen, they're like, oh, Nick Bosa's got hurt before, so we're going to take another edge. So I like what they did. I also like Tyrion Davis Price. I think he could be a good running back. I think that it was a good draft, so I give him a B.
Okay, now we go to our final team, and that is the Cardinals. I give them a B. Nothing I love or hate, but Trey McBride, nice pickup for tight end, but I still think O-line's a problem. They didn't address that till the sixth round, and they got another guard in the seventh round as well. So just a B for me. Not too bad, but also not great.
Yeah, I give him B minus. For basically the same reasons you did. I only put them a little bit lower because we both have a different opinion of middle, and I said they were a little bit above average because I like the pickup of Trey McBride, tight end. But all the rest of the picks were middling, and like you said, they didn't address their line issues. So I thought a B minus was the best choice.
Yeah, we didn't really stray that too far from each other. We just had different values of what a B, and C meant. So I think it was good. I'm very interested to see how our off season grades go, even though we're going to wait to do that because there's still a lot could happen. So we'll have to see. But hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully it's not too long for you, and we appreciate it. And make sure to check us out. Check out our other episodes. And thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.